This is a tough one for me, guys, because this would have been disastrous had somebody been up here. Thank God no one was up here. Very short episode today, guys, but kind of a scary one. We had something that happened that literally could have killed us if we were up in the area where it occurred. So again, short episode, but I just want to show you guys what happened, and maybe this can serve as a warning to other people that might have a similar situation. So I would say, I don't know, several hundred pounds worth of sheet metal here.
Heavy.
This snapped and fell from the middle rafter. We were just standing working on the garden when we heard a loud boom from here in the hayloft, and I come and look, and this middle rafter up here had busted. Now, I'd seen some bird droppings up or down here on the floor, which makes me wonder if birds were busy building a nest and maybe ruining the integrity of this wood. But whatever it is, if somebody was standing in here in the hayloft when this thing fell, they would have died, right? Or seriously injured.
Sure.
Because this is
not just heavy, but very, very sharp edge.
Heavy and sharp that just, boom, fell right on the floor of the hayloft because of this thing snapping.
Yeah, and we had how many people up here yesterday?
We had the
4 or
kids up
5.
here, and then just the day before that, we had friends out up here and the dogs, whew. So on the one hand, I'm really bummed that this happened and that I've got to find a place to put all this sheet metal. But on the other hand, I'm very, very thankful that no one was up here when this happened.
Right, and obviously that's the most important thing. Yep.
This is a real eye-opener, guys, because like I was saying, we've had people up here in the hayloft walking around, and this would have been disastrous had anyone been in here when this happened. It just snapped, and all of these giant pieces of sheet metal just fell. I don't know what caused it, but again, the only thing that I'm thinking right now is that I'm glad no one was up here when they fell. That is providence. One of the things I'm thinking is that we have been experiencing a pretty major upsurge in carpenter bees with the spring arriving. And so there's one right there. I wonder if the carpenter bees were setting to work on that middle beam. Or maybe I just got too heavy-handed with the amount of sheet metal I put up in those rafters, and with the warm weather, something changed, and it just was, after a certain amount of time, it just snapped and they fell. But boy, oh boy, this is a tough one for me, guys, because this would have been disastrous had somebody been up here. Thank God no one was up here. So what do I take away from this? Well, thankfulness, number one. I mean, no fun music today or funny jokes or funny intros, but a warning to people watching it. Be careful how much weight you put in rafter beams. I guess that's the main lesson I have from all of this. I love my barn, but it's an old barn. And I need to be very cognizant of that fact when I put loads in it, when I put heavy things in the rafter beams or whatever else. I just need to be very cognizant that this is an old barn that I'm dealing with. So I can't be as devil may care with some things as I would be if I had a newer building. Again, my main takeaway here is that I'm just thankful that no one was hurt. It will be a bummer cleaning all that stuff up, but that's something that I can do when I get back from my trip to Polyface, which by the time you're watching this video, I'll probably be at Polyface, but I'll probably end up putting it in the shed that I have back in the woods. There's some old furniture in that shed that we've been wanting to clear out, but I think it'd be a good space to put a lot of that sheet metal in. As for those rafter beams, I'm never putting anything in those rafter beams ever again. 2 of the rafter beams are still there in good shape. It's just the middle one that broke. I'm just gonna leave it out. I'm never gonna put stuff up there again. Be very cognizant about how I'm using the barn. So, on a good note, yes, that was scary, but we survived. But on a good note, we are starting work on the beds, the garden beds in earnest, as you can see. These are our greens beds, and you'll notice that we put these little piping structures over them, which we're going to cover this with insect/frost cloth called Agrabon that will help protect these plants from frost and insects and probably other little critters, things like rabbits and stuff. We're not going to fence this area off. But this is where our greens are going to go. And we may have another few frosts in the next week or two, but I think having these greens covered up will make sure that they're okay. So we'll update you a little more on what we end up doing with these. So what do we got?
So in the back, we have red cabbage. And then here we have Savoy cabbage, which we've been really liking lately. It's kind of like a Napa cabbage. It's really crunchy. We make a really good slaw with it. And then we have an experiment of celery right here that I have just cut the bottoms off of celery that we got at the grocery store, and we're giving them a whirl, see if they grow. Over here, we've got some more celery. We've got cilantro, parsley, some basil. What did I plant here?
Guess we'll find out.
Swiss chard and red Russian kale. And then these are collard greens. We love collard greens. And then the last bed, it looks like nothing is there, but I just direct sowed a bunch of greens. So we've got, what do we have? Spinach. Arugula. Lettuce, some kind of bib lettuce, and mustard greens. Very spicy mustard greens. So these will be our greens beds.
Are they all done?
I just have to put the mustard green seeds in, and
then it's ready to cover up.
They'll be ready to cover and water, yeah. And I don't want to catch him. Oh, it's catching. It's hard back here.
All right, guys, again, short video today, but just a reminder, be careful with old infrastructure. You can't trust it like you can newer buildings. Anyways, to any of my friends or family that have been in the hayloft recently, I am sorry. I did not know this was going to happen. But on the other hand, I'm thankful that it did happen when no one was up there, because that was just a ticking time bomb. That could have happened at any point. And so I'm glad that it happened. Yes, I'm not going to have fun cleaning up all that sheet metal and finding a new place for it, but I am glad that that happened when it did, when no one was up there. So thank you for watching. I hope maybe you learned something here. And until next time, remember, guys, slowly, slowly.